David Bowie is acknowledged to be one of the most inspirational musicians of all time. His creative contributions weren't limited only to music, and of his heritage in cinematography and fashion as well. Tremendous number of musicians from all over the range, from Bono to Maynard James Keenan, and from Marilyn Manson to YUNGBLUD, have recognized him among their major influences. And all that wonderful journey starts from the one song, Space Oddity, Bowie's breakthrough. That song narrates a nice simple story of a little spaceman named Major Tom, which leaves us with two questions. What's so special about him, and where did Major Tom go? Space Oddity was released on July the 11th, 1969, year and 2 months after the theatrical release of Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey. And 5 days later,
Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11.
yeah, that happened. BBC used the single to fill pauses in their broadcasting of the Apollo 11th mission. That sufficiently helped to build a tightly merged association between the track and the moon mission in mass consciousness. When all human minds are so permeated by the space theme, it was easy to mistake Space Oddity for a mere hype attempt. The second and much deeper side revealed itself with some time. The song tells a story of Major Tom, an astronaut who flew in a spacecraft for an unknown mission. It is built on a dialogue when transitions between Major Tom and the ground control, a flight control center that was supervising the mission. At first, everything goes as supposed to, and spaceship successfully launches and reaches a certain point in the space. Major Tom has made the grade.
This is ground control to Major Tom. You really made the grade.
Major Tom had passed 1,000 miles and then he stepped into the dirt to see how different the stars look. They've left Major Tom in awe. But at some point, things went wrong and the transmission broke. Major Tom and the ground control weren't able to hear each other any longer. There's nothing that Major Tom could have done to prevent it. You may ask why then this song with such a catastrophe at the end was used as the moon mission soundtrack. Well, the answer is basically thanks to a proverbial neglect. I'm sure they really weren't listening to the lyric at all. It wasn't a pleasant thing to juxtapose against a moon landing. But now let's look at this song from a different perspective. Was there much of a count on a success from the outset? These lines assure us there was not. The mission goes one end.
Check ignition and may God's love be with you. To my wife, I love her very much. She knows.
At this point, Major Tom appears as a little man that obeys to circumstances and accepts the will of fate upon him. He was sent to the mission, and when it goes awry, he concedes to the inevitable. He is a little man after all, alone in a cold universe in a tiny tin can, powerless before the almighty cosmos, left only to himself in oppression and loneliness. Space Oddity is anything but a space fashion panegyric. The publicity image of a spaceman at work is of an automaton rather than a human being. And my Major Tom is nothing if not a human being. It came from a feeling of sadness about this aspect of the space thing. It has been dehumanized. So I wrote a song farce about it, to try and relate science and human emotion. I suppose it's an antidote to space fever, really. At the time of writing of the Space Oddity, Bowie was suffering from the emotional breakup with his longtime girlfriend, Hermione Farthingale. So that story also can be read as a metaphor of dealing with emotional pain and emptiness from the ending of long romantic relationships. It is not something you change, it's something you concede to and accept, just like the coldness of the universe. Another context in which all this pessimistic vibe of the song can be read is a feeling of the ending of a bad epoch of 1960s. The 60s were a unique age for music. All that huge names, feeling of belonging, all that inner empowerment of the promise that things are to change, all that hippies and rock and roll revolution, those things were giving ground for less sophisticated times. The other song from that album that was later renamed after Space Oddity tells about it more concretely.
We claimed the very source of joy ran through. It didn't, but it seemed that way.
These themes of the ending of such a lovely era to which Bowie had been an immediate participant were on his mind, and that sadness can be heard through in the Space Oddity. But the story of Major Tom was yet to be retold not once, not twice. In the end of 1980, after securing his position as an rock and roll icon, after several cycles of the constant reinventing of his image, David Bowie returns to the story of Major Tom with the release of a sequel to Space Oddity, Ashes to Ashes, on his album Scary Monsters and Super Creeps.
Do you remember a guy that's been in such another song?
In Ashes to Ashes, Major Tom reveals his second nature for the first time. It turns out to be David's own alternative ego, and Ashes to Ashes is basically his attempt at reflection on the path he'd already traveled to the date. The 70s was a complicated time for Bowie. In 1972, he presented his rock idol persona, Ziggy Stardust, and that skyrocketed his career. Sorry for the pun. In the course of touring with his next album, A Lad Insane, he made his way to America, where in the mid-70s he became a drug addict. His addiction reached its pinnacle after him filming in Nicholas Roeg's movie, The Man Who Fell to Earth.
Did you like it?
Not much.
Oh, I didn't make it for you anyway.
David himself later recalled that filming as nothing but nightmare. Even more destructive was the fact that after this movie, he sort of observed the character of Thomas Jerome Newton into his darkest persona, the thin, white Duke. At that stage, his addiction became so strong and devastating that Iggy Pop, his close friend, took him to Berlin for recovery. These times of search for the way back to normalcy gave birth to three of his most influential records, known as the Berlin Trilogy or the Berlin Period. And eventually that complicated sinusoid of ups and downs had become the material for the Ashes to Ashes. Its very title, Ashes to Ashes, is a reference both to the line of the English burial service, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, and Rinner Rinner Roses nursery rhyme, ashes ashes will fall down. And as you might know, there is some dark history behind those rhymes. They are linked to the themes of plague, disease and death. For Bowie, that was meant to be a funeral song for the 70s. In the song narrative, Ground Control gets a message from the Action Man, Major Tom, 10 years after he had been lost in space. The words of refrain. Sound insincere. Marilyn Manson and his macabre homage in the 1998 song Apple of Sodom was much closer to their message. Major Tom further tells the way that he had lived. He loved all he needed to love. That might sound like a cool thing to do, but in the following lines, he tells that he'd got no money and no hair. That most likely is about Bowie's time in Berlin. No hair is basically a reference to heroin. Major Tom hoping to kick means to stop, that the planet's glowing, the temptation is too high. The chorus, Bowie sings a farewell to his past.
Ashes to ash and funk to funky.
It tells about Major Tom. We know Major Tom's a junkie. Drunk in Heaven's High, that is about drug addiction again. It is the all-time low, and that is a reference to his album Low, which he had recorded while in Berlin. Time and again Major Tom tells himself that he will be clean, but the little green wheels are following him. Little green wheels are more likely to be the dollar bills that are used for, well, for sniffing the cocaine. In the end of the song it transforms into a repeated nursery rhyme. Major Tom is now a common name for drug using. David Bowie explained the meaning of the song this way. It's an ode to childhood, if you like, a popular nursery rhyme about spacemen becoming junkies. I was a fan of the 70s really for myself, and that seemed a good enough epitaph for it. That we've lost him. He's out there somewhere. Will even be. And yes, Major Tom was left be for quite some time. Till 1995. Hello Spaceboy was originally released as a part of the album One, Outside. This version has one of the most heaviest Bowie's mixes. It was made with 9 Inch Nails in mind. In that version, there's no direct mention of Major Tom. But it doesn't take a lot of imagination to interpret the lyrics as a new entry about him. Major Tom was added to the song only in 1996, in the remix version with the British synth-pop duo Pet Shop Boys. The initiative of the remix with additional lyrics came from Neil Tennant, Pet Shop Boys vocalist. Bowie was hesitant at first, but eventually the idea grew on him. David had made a big deal out of experimental lyric writing techniques that he used for One Outside. For this purpose, he'd put some impromptu lyrics into a computer program that would reassemble pieces of the text. Then he'd collected all that would come to his liking. That was the way original Hello Spaceboy was written. Neil Tennant wanted to go away with it. With writing of the second verse for the remixed version, he cut words of the original Hello Spaceboy and arranged them into completely new sentences.
Ground to Major, bye-bye Tom. Take the circuit, countdown's wrong. Planet Earth is control on.
Neil Tennant later recalled a conversation with Bowie about the lyrics. I said to David Bowie, it's like Major Tom on one of those Russian spaceships they can afford to bring down. And he said, oh, is that ever is? Musically, Pet Shop Boys' version was much lighter than the original one, although the material was re-recorded and the remix was released as an official single. The message about the confusion of the sexuality of the original version.
Do you like girls or boys? It's confusing these days.
When in a fine concert with Neil Tennant's lyrics, and therefore Hello Spaceboy, Pet Shop Boys remix became a part of the Major Tom's canon. Eventually became a sort of a visiting of long-forgotten character and another gentle goodbye. This time it felt like for good. Indeed, there were no new appearances till 2015, except for Rista Reckon's Soulbone music video, which wasn't released officially for a long time, and some possible hints here and there. But finally, he made his last major appearance in the Blackstar music video, which accompanies a lead single to the last David Bowie's Lifetime album with the same title. Blackstar video, directed by Johan Rank, who later created wide acclaimed Chernobyl, is full of rich and expressive imagery, and the song itself presents a plethora of themes. But for now, let's focus on Major Tom's role in it. He appears at the beginning of the video lying in his suit at some strange alien planet revolving around a black star. A girl with a cat tail opens his helmet visor, inside of which can be seen Major Tom's bejeweled skull. Apparently, he died far into the unknown space. Blackstar album centers on the theme of mortality and death, which were on the mind of Bowie, who had been suffering out of an incurable liver cancer for more than a year to the moment of filming. So it's only natural that we see in the Blackstar music video a story of Major Tom's death. While the death itself is left out of the scene, we see only what happened after. The girl took a skull and placed it into a transparent box in which she carried it through an outlandish city. She entered into some sort of a temple where a mysterious gathering had already started. A group of women began a strange ritual, in the process of which they danced and worshipped the skull. The skull now becomes a symbol and a sacred object of a new cult or religion. It's like a dead part, a relic of a saint or some prophet. And for me it all revolves around the main theme of the Blackstar lyrics, an overcoming of the death through the fame and legacy, transcending through mortality via myth. When a body dies, the legend lives on. It comes back in new forms, in new magnitudes, in new scales. Major Tom may have died, but still, he continued to live on through the memory of him, through the myth who once was. David Bowie left this planet on January 10, 2016, 2 days after his 69th birthday and the release of the Blackstar. He started his great journey as a little but ambitious author, being the last in the great line of musicians of the 60s. Later he struggled with his stardom and addiction, recovering his sanity and control. He felt his confusion about the chaos of his sexuality and identity. And he immortalized himself through his music and legacy, becoming the myth and the legend. That is where Major Tom did go. On February 6, 2018, SpaceX carried out the Falcon Heavy test launch. For the payload was used Tesla Roadster with its dummy astronaut at the driver's seat. The car sound system was set to loop David Bowie's iconic Space Oddity and Life on Mars. Thank you so much for watching. If you find this video interesting and want me to do more of a content like this, please leave a comment, subscribe, like it, share it, anything. This is a new channel and I'd really appreciate that. Take care, my name is Thomas and I hope to see you in the next video on Little Silver Discs. Till next time.